Can you work us through training, if there's anything we need to know from it, in the sense of what it does to your selections or injuries?
So today's training? No, today's training was a good session. We had 43 on the track, so we got good numbers. Guys are healthy and good spirits, and looking forward to round one.
So when you say 43, not all of them would be in your mind for selection. How many are you actually looking at? How deep is it running on your whiteboard?
Reasonably deep. We're fortunate. We've got some tough decisions to make. But the reality, this time of year, you're probably down to 27, 28 guys who are genuinely in line for round one.
Is the 27, 28, is there a difference between your best 22 and the best 22 to play the Kangaroo?
It's a possibility. We'll talk about that at match committee. I mean, there's clearly we've got to pick a side that we think is capable of performing on Saturday night, and within that is guys' capability to play various roles. So we'll look at that in terms of what's our best blend and mix for all areas, whether it's backs, mids or forwards.
There's two blokes who didn't play in your last snap challenge for reasons off field. Where do you sit on whether they should be immediately brought back, considered or not?
Well, they'll be considered. As I said up front, after that incident, both guys went back, played in Sandford, played really well, and I'm not going to hold anything against them at this point. It'll be their names are on the board for selection, and they'll be selected on their merits.
How does it feel personally now, Don? Are you ready, or do you wish you had more to do in the pre-season, obviously?
No, look, it's one of those ones where, as I said previously, it was a challenge over a shorter pre-season to try and cover a fair bit of ground. I'm comfortable we've covered the ground. I think the players have been really engaged in the process of getting ready for round one, and now it's time to start up. So it's an exciting time, exciting for myself and exciting for the club and the players.
By the end of it, what do you want to see? What have you put down as, say, what we would call non-negotiables by the end of the game?
I think the phases of the game we play in. I mean, the contest is still becomes your capacity to win the ball is still a vital element and ingredient of playing successful football. So we want to make sure that we bring that on Saturday night.
Don, obviously it's a massive journey for you, and you've been football at all different levels. But now this week is your first time in control at the very elite level. Does it feel a little bit different for you, or is it business as usual?
It's a little bit different. I'm no doubt. Probably later in the week there'll be some nerves, but there's also a great amount of excitement. To be honest, this is a great opportunity with a group of guys who are keen to find out how good they can be, and as I said, they're really engaged, and so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, that's why we're in the game, is for these sort of opportunities to start the journey for the team.
From a personal level, I suppose you go back to playing your first game with the Eagles. Does it feel a little bit like that again now, being first-time coach at that level, though?
Yes and no. I mean, I think playing's always a little bit different. So I imagine that nerves will be a bit more coming closer to Saturday night. But as I said, it's more for me excitement, and it's excitement for the 22 we pick, and we'll go and give a really good account of ourselves on Saturday night.
You're coming up against a team that are excellent at stoppages. They were, I think, second when it came to clearances in the NAB Challenge, finished fourth last year. Are you doing anything different when it comes to that facet of the game this weekend?
Look, we'll assess there. Obviously, an area of strength for North, and he's playing a side that's made the last two prelim finals, so we know we're facing some quality, and we'll plan accordingly, and we'll prepare the players and be ready to go. But clearly, that's an area we've got to respect them in.
And what have you found out about yourself when you have to command a box and lead a group of assistant coaches? Is there anything you've learned in the past month?
Not specifically, Michelangelo. It's probably more. Obviously, we need to make sure that each guy in the box has a role, and they're very clear on their role. Probably need to make sure you stay to your knitting, so the guys in charge of their areas are really clear in terms of what they're looking for. We set up the game as to how we'd like to play it, but clearly, we come against opposition, so we need to be really clear inside the box, exactly what's happening in the game, and therefore what messaging we send to the players. That's a work in progress. We've had 3 games. We'll be better in 6 weeks than we are now. That's going to come with the relationships as they build between the coaches. But in terms of my role, it's probably more or less just to make sure we're really measured, as calm as we can be, understand that the education we've done with the players is what sees them through.
Are you emotional or pretty steely? Which one of the two?
Oh, probably going to find out, aren't we? I would hope I'm going to be more measured and calm. But then you're involved in an emotive game, so it's hard not to get emotional. That's the thing. And the players, I think, want to see a level of emotion because it's important to show these engagement in the game and what they're doing. Does that mean I'm going to become a raving lunatic? Hopefully not. But I'd like to think that I'll be engaged in the game and be able to work with the players to achieve the best outcome.
You hit on that figure of ranked 17th on efficiency with hand and foot. Can you get a measure of how much you've advanced, or do you need that pressure cooker of an AFL game to really test yourself?
Oh, I think that's all part of the process. I mean, I think we saw through the NAB challenge, I think we saw some improvement, but I think there'd be 17 other coaches thinking they've all improved. So, and that's the beauty of round one. It's the start. I mean, it's not a direct indicator to how your year's going to go, but it's the first chance you get to test yourself and the areas you've worked on against genuine opposition for 4 points, and we get that Saturday night.
Is the understanding of that total team defence that you want to push getting through, or do you think that's going to be a work in progress?
Well, that's a continual work in progress. I mean, that's something we've identified. We've got some strategy in place. We've worked the group around there, and again, higher intensity of AFL, premiership point games is different. So I'm confident we've made some progress. Again, we'll get a chance to look at it on Saturday night.
You mentioned that measured approach that you're taking. I mean, round one has such a big build-up for the players and that. Do you have to sort of bring them down, or do you just let them sort of bubble along with it?
No, I think it's important they enjoy it. I mean, it's an exciting time there. These guys have been training since late in November, competing for spots. Some guys will earn spots and they'll be excited about the opportunity that presents. Some guys who have been around for a while will be looking forward to the year. So I think embrace it. It's not one to shy away from. It's an opportunity for these guys to put out what they're capable of doing. So I'll encourage them to embrace the night and get amongst it.
You talked about relishing the first 8 weeks. The captain's talked about it being motivating. What's the rest of the group thinking of it?
Well, we've had discussion around that, and it's the reality for us is that, and this will be cliched and boring, but we've got North Melbourne Saturday night, and we can't really afford to think beyond that. We'll come in with how we want to play against a good opposition, and we'll test ourselves. We'll assess that afterwards, and we'll reflect on what worked, what didn't, and then we'll get ready for the next game. But this is boring, but it's 1 week at a time.
The notion of horses for courses, do you make something of Etihad and who you should take to that ground?
Not really.
Last couple of
The changes that were made in the off-season, getting different players in, who could have the most influence for you of that group you brought in for this season?
Which players are you referring to?
Seaman, Hampton, Dorr, etc.
Yeah.
Oh, Malira as well.
Yeah. Oh, look, all those guys bring something different. And look, obviously from a recruiting viewpoint, we wanted to, it's well recognised, we wanted to bring in some outside run and a bit of speed. And so clearly that's what they're in the side to do. I mean, we're encouraging our players when they come in here to realise they're here for a reason. They come with multiple strengths, and it's important they bring them on game day.
Don, just on that, obviously by the time we go to air, the team will be pretty much sorted. If Miller makes a space, is he a good chance to be in the mix?
He's in the mix, yeah.
He's in the mix, yeah. How's he coped over the summer, and how's he coped in the NAB challenge?
Oh, he's been really good from the moment he walked in, Wayne. I think we recruited him midweek. He started training later in that week, and he walks in every day with a smile on his face. He loves being here. He's trained really hard. He's hardly missed a session, and he's engaged with the group really well. So, he's, as a first-year player, that's about all you can ask. And now it's, if he gets his opportunity, it'll be great for him to experience it.
All going well, could he play every game this year? Or do you get wary of first-year players and how far you push them? We'll
judge that as we go. We'll judge. I mean, it's horses for courses a bit on that one. It depends on how those guys adapt and how they deal with the load and everything else. It's just something you've got to be mindful of.
Is it fair to say he's got a level of composure that seems ahead of other players who are just stepping into the game?
Oh, I think that's one of the things that Wayne brings. And each player, as I said, has different strengths. He's got some time with the ball, which is a great thing to have. But as I said, all the players on our list, whether they'll play on Saturday or not, bring some serious strengths to our list, which is why they're here. What we've got to do is encourage them to develop those strengths, keep working on the things they're not as strong at, but responsibilities to bring what they're good at, and that's what we want each player to do.
As a curiosity, you come into this group having seen them as an opposition coach. Is there anyone that you've tried to change their role because you believe you can make something of them in a different role?
No one that really springs to mind off the top of my head, to be honest. We've probably more tried to clarify roles and be really clear with guys on what roles we probably see them playing. In some cases that may be a shift in their role, but trying to utilise their, as I said, it's about utilising their strengths in the areas that we think they best help the team and best give them the chance to play regular footy.
Thanks, guys. So take it, Ricky Henderson, is he a forward or a defender, or is he always going to be a swingman?
Well, it's great with Ricky. He's out. He's back available for selection. He's going to play this week at Samford level, which is fantastic for both him and for Andy Otten, who've had some interrupted pre-season. So they start their journey. They start at Samford level. Both guys have had AFL experience. And with Ricky, where his best spot is, not really sure. For him now, it's great to have him out on the park. It's like if you're in rehab and you've had an interrupted pre-season, there were some lonely times for him and for Andy when they were going through that. So both those guys are looking forward to just playing and building some confidence back in their body and getting ready to playing regular footy.
Don, just a quick one. Sorry, with the sample stuff you mentioned, given Wayne played some senior footy at Central, have you noticed the difference in the guys coming, say, straight out from under 18 comp in Victoria to those that have had the opportunity to play a bit of senior football as a younger player at the Sanford level?
Yeah, well, not necessarily using Wayne as an example, but I think that exposure to playing, if you like, adult footy across the industry I see as a benefit. It just allows them to experience playing against men, which you don't obviously get if you play underage footy. So Wayne's an example of someone who played against it. He's had a taste and experience of what that looks like. And it's the same with guys who come out of the Waffle or the VFL. They're just that experience of playing against bigger body guys. Is part of their path in their journey. I remember Richie Douglas when he first started. That was one of his unknowns. He sort of said to me, "I've never played against men," and so you've got to take that on board as a coach and say, "Gee, that's a different look on the world from a young guy who's coming into an elite system." So it's all part of the process for the players.